Day 602 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. And today we have question number 3712, sum of elements with frequency divisible by k. The difficulty level is easy, so you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as well. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, hype, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go in and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. You are given an integer array nums and an integer k. Return an integer denoting the sum of all elements in nums whose frequency is divisible by k, or 0 if there are no such elements. Note, an element is included in the sum exactly as many times as it appears in the array if its total frequency is divisible by k. All right, y'all. So that sounds simple enough, but let's go ahead and take a look at these examples just to make sure that we are doing this problem correctly. And before we get into example 1, we need to know what a frequency is. So it says the frequency of an element x is the number of times that it occurs in the array. So once again, the frequency is just the number of times it occurs. So right here, 2 occurs twice, it has a frequency of 2. 3 occurs 4 times, it has a frequency of 4. 1 occurs once, has a frequency of 1. 4 occurs once, has a frequency of 1. So it's just how many times the element occurs or how frequent is that element, right? So let's get into example 1. In example 1, the input nums equals an array of integers 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, k equals 2. The output is 16. So let's see how they got this output from this input, right? So it says the number 1 appears once. That's an odd frequency. So remember, we only want the elements that are divisible, that have a frequency that is divisible by k, which in this case is 2. So if it has an odd frequency, then we know it's not going to be divisible by 2. So it says the number 2 appears twice, even frequency. Okay, so we know 2 has a frequency of 2, which is divisible by 2. Boom. Then it says the number 3 appears 4 times, even frequency. So this 3 appears 4 times. 4 is divisible by 2, so we'll keep that in mind. Then it says the number 4 appears once, which is odd frequency. We cannot divide 1 by 2, so we don't have to worry about that. So it says the total sum is 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, which equals 16. So we just took the elements that have a frequency that is divided by 2, right? So these 2s have a frequency of 2, that's divided by 2. And these 3s have a frequency of 4, that has divided by 2. That's divisible by 2, right? So then it says an element is included in the sum exactly as many times as it appears in the array. So that's why we have all the 3s and we have all the 2s, right? Because the 2s have a frequency divisible by k, and the 3s have a frequency divisible by k. So when we add them all up, we get 16, and that's how our output is 16. Now, just in case that didn't make sense, let's take a look at example 2. In example 2, our input nums equals an array of integers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. K equals 2 again, the output is 0. Explanation says there are no elements that appear an even number of times, so the total sum is 0, excuse me. All of these elements right here only appear one time, right? So if they all appear one time, that means no element has a frequency that is divisible by 2, so we could just return 0. Now let's take a look at example 3. In example 3, the input nums equals an array of integers 4, 4, 4, 1, 2, 3. This time k equals 3. The output is 12. It says the number 1 appears once. That's not divisible. 1 is not divisible by 3. The number 2 appears once. Once again, 1 is not divisible by 3. The number 3 appears once. Once again, 1 is not divisible by 3. But the number 4 appears 3 times, and 3 is divisible by 3. So when we add up all of the 4s, we get 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 12. Sorry, y'all, equals 12, and that's why our output is 12. So I hope that makes sense to y'all. And now that we understand the question, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution. The solution is not that difficult at all. So let's get into it. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to create a dictionary that will be used to count how many times each number appears in the array. So we'll declare a variable called count, set that equal to a dictionary of integers. So the key is an integer, the value is an integer. We're going to initialize it like that with 2 parentheses. Then we need to accumulate the final sum of numbers whose frequencies are divisible by k. So we can store that by declaring a variable called result, and we'll set that equal to 0 to start. Now, the first pass, we're going to iterate through the input array and build a frequency map. Each key is a number from nums, and the value will be how many times it appears. So we're going to come right here. I'm going to say for num and nums. We're going to open up the brackets and we'll say count square bracket num comma default colon 0. Boom. Come outside of that, we'll say plus equals 1. So count is this dictionary that we created up here. Each time we see an element, like say we see 2, right, that will be num. Num will be represented by 2, right? So say this num is 2. Each time we see 2, we're going to keep count over here. We're going to start the count from 0, and we're going to add 1 each time we see it. So in the end, 2 appears twice. So this will be, in the dictionary, this would be 2, and then this would be the number 2, and this would be the number how many, this would be how many times 2 appears, which in this case would be 2 as well. Boom. Then we're going to come underneath this right here. And the second pass is we're going to iterate over the frequency map and only consider numbers whose total count is evenly divisible by k. So we're going to say for, open up the parentheses, num, comma, cnt, come outside the parentheses, and count where cnt mod k equals 0. So this mod is going to give us the remainder. So if the mod k is equal to 0, meaning it has no remainder, that means it's divisible by k. Then we're going to open up the brackets, and if the condition is satisfied, we're going to add the number multiplied by its total frequency to the result. So we're going to say result plus equals num times cnt. Then we just need to return the computed sum by coming right here. We can say return result. Boom, y'all. So with that being said, let's give it a run. Make sure it runs properly. It's accepted, so let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it's still accepted after we submit it. Let's see, and look at that, y'all. 0 milliseconds beats 100% of users. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to see, y'all. So with that being said, I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.